chosen one. They're headed straight for consequences so severe that arrest is inevitable, and the shocking part is this: your name is the one they expect to call for bail, as if your compassion still belongs to them. Right now, while you breathe freely, they sit in a cold room under harsh lights, realizing their schemes have collapsed. They're about to face justice alone. You've evolved beyond their reach. While you were building trust, while you were planning a future, while you were being loyal, they were running operations you knew nothing about. Operations that could have destroyed everything you built, everything you are. They were opening accounts in your name. They were creating businesses with your information. They were filing paperwork with forged signatures. They were building an entire shadow financial empire on the foundation of your credit, your identity, your reputation. And they did this so smoothly, so quietly, so carefully, that you never suspected a thing. Because predators don't attack openly. They infiltrate. They embed themselves. They become so essential to your daily life that you can't see them draining you until you're almost empty. But they weren't working alone. Someone else was involved. Someone who operates in shadows and specializes in schemes. Someone who had their own personal reasons for wanting to see you hurt. Maybe jealousy drove them. Maybe resentment fueled their actions. Maybe they simply thrive on chaos, and you became an available target. Together, your ex and this shadow figure created a plan, a calculated, detailed, intentional plan to destabilize your entire existence. While they were plotting your destruction, your spiritual team was documenting every move they made. Your ancestors were building a case. Your guides were creating paper trails in dimensions these criminals didn't even know existed. Every fake business they created, tracked. Every signature they forged, recorded. Every dollar they stole, marked. All of it was building toward a reckoning they thought they'd escaped. But arrogance made them sloppy. Success bred their overconfidence. They started believing they were untouchable. They assumed their shell game would work forever. They thought changing business names and creating new entities would provide adequate cover. But digital footprints don't disappear. Money always leaves trails, and when forensic accountants start digging, when investigators actually look, all those clever tricks become evidence. All those name changes become proof of intent. All those shell companies become exhibits in a courtroom. Something else was happening too, something they didn't notice because their self-congratulation created blindness. You were waking up. Your intuition was screaming at you. Your body was rejecting their toxic energy. Mysterious health issues started appearing. Unexplained exhaustion became your normal. Chronic anxiety took up residence in your chest. Your throat hurt constantly for no medical reason. Your chest felt perpetually tight. Your stomach churned endlessly. That wasn't your imagination. That was your system trying to expel a toxin. That was your spiritual immune system fighting an infection that was wearing a human face, and then you separated from them. You cut the energetic cord. You voided the contract. And everything that had been protected while they were connected to your light. It all came due at once. Now divine comedy enters the picture. Now their own mouth becomes the weapon of their destruction. Because entitled people can't keep secrets, narcissists can't resist playing victim. Users always need an audience for their performance, so they went to the family to confess. Maybe a trusted relative, maybe someone they considered like blood, and they had a breakdown. Those angry tears flowed, you know the ones I'm talking about, where your throat burns, and you can't tell whether you're feeling fury or terror. They performed grief like they were going for an award. They painted you as the villain, the cold one, the person who threw away something beautiful, the heartless monster who walked away from true love. The mask always slips eventually. Always. They can hold their composure for a while. They can give a convincing performance for hours, even days. But eventually, in a moment of frustration, in a flash of real rage, the truth bleeds through, and something they should have kept hidden got revealed. They mentioned the fake businesses. They discussed the stolen information. They described their plans to make you suffer financially. They confessed to schemes they thought were so clever, and whoever heard this couldn't unhear it. Let me say that again for the people in the back. Whoever heard that confession couldn't unknow what they now knew. Maybe that person had morals. Maybe that person had integrity. Maybe that person just realized they were sitting across from someone capable of real evil. Whatever the reason, they made a choice. They contacted the authorities. They reported what they heard. They opened a door to an investigation that would expose everything. Your ex never anticipated this. They assumed family was safe. They expected confession would bring them sympathy. They thought playing victim would generate support. Instead, prosecutors received their entire case, wrapped in a bow made of words your ex spoke freely. That's not bad luck. That's karma. That's divine justice using someone's own mouth to condemn them. That's the universe saying you wanted to be heard so desperately. Fine. Let everyone hear exactly what you are. The investigation moved fast after that opening. Once authorities start looking, once they have a starting point, everything unravels quickly. Bank records, forged documents, fake business registrations, identity theft charges, stacking like dominoes falling in slow motion. And with every piece of evidence they found, your ex's story changed. First it was a misunderstanding. Then it was a mistake. Then it was someone else's fault. Then they claimed it was justified because you hurt them. Their lies kept shifting. Their narrative kept morphing. But the facts? Those stayed exactly the same. Self-preservation trumps loyalty every single time when you're dealing with people who have no honor. You can't expect someone who helped commit crimes to stand beside you when consequences arrive. You can't trust someone who operates in darkness to be there when light exposes everything. So the shadow figure started pointing fingers. They produced receipts. They showed messages that positioned your ex as the mastermind. They painted themselves as an innocent bystander who got manipulated. They had documentation showing your ex doing most of the actual fraud. They had texts proving your ex initiated the plans. They had everything they needed to make themselves look like a victim of your ex's manipulation instead of a willing participant. Your ex got played. The person they thought was their ally had actually been setting them up as a scapegoat the entire time. Every piece of evidence the shadow figure collected wasn't for their shared protection. It was for their own individual escape plan. They were building a lifeboat while your ex thought they were building a ship together. And when that ship started sinking, the shadow figure was already rowing away, leaving your ex to drown alone. That's what happens when you partner with darkness. That's what happens when you align yourself with people who have no integrity. That's what happens when you think you can use others without being used yourself. You become the tool. You become the weapon turned against itself. You become the sacrifice someone else offers to save themselves. If you recognized yourself in this message, hype this video to guide other chosen ones to this truth. Now your ex is facing charges alone. They're taking heat for schemes that involve two people. They're carrying blame for plans they didn't create solo. And the person who pushed them, who egged them on, who promised partnership, nowhere to be found. Or worse, they're sitting comfortably while your ex faces years in prison. The irony is poetic, isn't it? Your ex betrayed you, then they got betrayed by their accomplice. Your ex tried to destroy you, then they got destroyed by someone they trusted. Your ex thought they were so clever, but it turns out they were just another pawn being played by someone even more calculating. Your ex is sitting in a cold room, harsh fluorescent lights, metal table, uncomfortable chair, and across from them are investigators who have heard every lie, seen every performance, and recognize every manipulation tactic in the book. Your ex is trying so hard to explain themselves, trying to minimize what they did, trying to make it all sound less criminal than it actually was. But their throat keeps betraying them. Their words keep coming out wrong. Their explanations keep sounding hollow. Their stories keep contradicting themselves. That throat chakra blockage I mentioned earlier, it's at maximum intensity now. Because when you use your voice to lie, deceive, and manipulate for years, that energy center shuts down. When you weaponize your communication, the universe revokes your speaking privileges. They're crying in that room, real tears this time. But these aren't tears of remorse. These are tears of panic, tears of rage, tears of someone who finally understands they're not getting out of this. The angry crying is especially telling, that fury bubbling through their fear. They're not sorry they hurt you. They're sorry they got caught. They're not remorseful about their actions. They're terrified of the consequences they're facing. And they keep trying to make it all about your breakup. They keep trying to paint themselves as someone who made bad choices because of emotional pain. They keep attempting to use heartbreak as justification for identity theft, for fraud, for criminal behavior. But the investigators don't care about their feelings. The justice system doesn't factor in their trauma. They can cry about their broken heart endlessly. They still committed crimes. They still have to face consequences. Every time they open their mouth, they're digging themselves deeper. Every explanation they give creates new questions. Every justification they offer reveals more guilt. They can't keep their story straight because there are too many lies to remember. They told too many different versions to too many different people. There are too many contradictions between what they claimed happened and what actually happened. The investigators have bank statements spread out in front of them, transaction histories, business registrations with forged signatures, documentation that doesn't lie. And every time your ex tries to explain one piece of evidence, they accidentally reveal another crime they committed. This is a masterclass in self-destruction. This is karma conducting an orchestra, where every instrument is playing the note of their downfall. Watch how they keep shifting their story. First they claimed ignorance. They said they didn't know about those accounts. They said they didn't recognize those businesses. They suggested someone must have stolen their identity too. But then the investigators showed them their own handwriting, their own signatures, security footage of them at banks, and their story changed. Then they claimed the shadow figure masterminded everything. They said they were manipulated. They insisted they were coerced. They claimed they were just helping someone they trusted. But then the investigators showed them messages where they initiated the plans, where they suggested the schemes, where they celebrated successful thefts. And their story changed again. Then they claimed everything was temporary. They swore they were going to pay it all back. They said they just needed time. They explained they were in a difficult situation. But then the investigators showed them the scale of what they did, the duration of their crimes, the systematic nature of their theft, and their story fell apart completely. The reality of prison time is crashing into them like a freight train. Real time, years of their life gone. Not months, not probation, actual incarceration, loss of freedom, loss of control, loss of everything they thought they'd secured through their criminal activities. And they're starting to understand that they can't talk their way out of this, that their charm doesn't work on prosecutors, that their manipulation is completely transparent to people who deal with criminals professionally. Let me be very specific about what they actually did to you. Not vague, not sugar-coated. Crystal clear, because you need to understand the magnitude of what you escaped, the depth of their depravity, the extent of their willingness to destroy you for their own benefit. They stole your identity, in legal terms, in criminal terms. They took your information and used it to create financial instruments you never authorized. They opened accounts with your name attached. They filed documents with forged signatures that looked like yours. They built businesses on your credit. They made purchases using your identity. They created debt that would have followed you for years, debt that could have prevented you from buying homes, from getting jobs, from living freely. For some of you, this could have meant bankruptcy. For others, it meant destroyed credit that would take years to rebuild. For all of you, this was a violation so profound that even thinking about it makes you feel sick. Because this wasn't just about money. This was about your security, your stability, your future. They were taking food from your table before you even bought it. They were stealing peace from your sleep before you even laid down. They were removing safety from your existence before you even knew threats existed. And while they were systematically destroying your life, they were still pretending to care about you, still acting like your partner, still performing affection. Think about the level of evil required to kiss someone goodnight while actively destroying their financial future. Think about the depth of deception needed to look someone in the eye while plotting their ruin. Think about how dark someone's soul must be to do this without their hands shaking. The fake businesses they created kept shifting and changing. New names, new locations, new fronts. All of it was designed to be difficult to track. All of it was structured to create maximum confusion. All of it was built to give them time to extract what they wanted before anyone noticed. They thought they were so intelligent. They thought their complexity would protect them. They thought their shell game was unbeatable. They weren't just stealing from you. They were setting you up to take the fall. That's the part that should make your blood run cold. That's the detail that reveals just how calculated everything was. They were building a paper trail that led back to you. They were creating evidence that would make you look guilty. They were structuring everything so that if they got caught, you would be the one holding the bag. Think about that for a moment. They were willing to send you to prison to save themselves. They were prepared to let you face criminal charges for crimes they committed. They had contingency plans that involved your complete destruction, your freedom, your reputation, your entire future. All of it was expendable to them. All of it was acceptable collateral damage in their schemes to get what they wanted. Some of you had joint accounts with them, joint credit cards, shared financial responsibilities. They used that access like a master key to your entire financial life. They knew your passwords because you trusted them. They had access to your identification documents because you lived together. They could forge your signature because they'd seen it thousands of times. And they used every bit of that intimate knowledge to violate you in ways that are hard to comprehend. They opened credit cards in your name and maxed them out immediately. They bought things they wanted. They took cash advances. Then they never paid a single bill. They let those accounts go into collections. They let your credit score drop. They let debt collectors start calling you. And if you noticed, if you questioned charges you didn't recognize, they had explanations ready. They gaslit you into thinking you must have forgotten, must have approved it, must have agreed to help them. They created business entities with your information listed as the owner. They made you legally responsible for debts you didn't know existed. They set up accounts with utility companies in your name. They signed leases for properties you never saw. They filed tax documents with your identification. They built an entire shadow empire using your identity as the foundation. And every piece of it was designed to crumble in a way that would bury you while letting them escape. Now let me show you something beautiful, something powerful, something that will make you believe in protection you can't see. Because while all of this was happening, while they were plotting and scheming and stealing, you had guardians you didn't even know about. You had forces working behind scenes you couldn't access. You had ancestors and guides and divine intelligence actively intervening in your reality. When you felt that pull to leave them, that wasn't just your intuition. That was your spiritual team screaming at you through the veil. When you had those disturbing dreams, that wasn't random neural firing. That was ancestral wisdom trying to show you what your waking mind couldn't process. When you felt anxiety around them that you couldn't explain, that wasn't irrational. That was your system detecting danger your conscious mind couldn't recognize. Now let me put you onto something real. Destiny Engine. I built this because I was done watching chosen ones get dragged through betrayal, isolation, and attacks while their enemies strutted around unchecked. I want to help you accelerate the speed of your divine justice and step fully into your purpose. And the beauty of it, you don't even have to lift a finger. Destiny Engine takes their downfall and flips it into your rise. This isn't another meditation app. It's declassified consciousness technology. The same mind programming tools your enemies once used to install fear, competition, and scarcity, re-engineered to restore your sovereignty and align you with the cooperative, upgraded operating framework. It generates personalized sequences mapped to your divine purpose. The hardest thing you'll do is put on headphones, press play, and watch your enemies keep digging their own grave. The collective upgrade is underway. Start your Destiny Engine for $1 to die, and turn everything they did to break you into fuel for your rise. Link in the description. Your spiritual team orchestrated your exit. They made the path clear for you. They created circumstances that gave you permission to leave, and the timing, it was perfect. Not a day too soon, not a moment too late. You left right before the damage became irreparable, right before their schemes locked you in, right before the debt they created in your name became permanent. But your spiritual team's work didn't stop when you left, because your ex wasn't done with you yet. They still had plans for you. They still intended to continue using your information, even after you separated. So your spiritual team shifted from evacuation mode to evidence collection mode. They started marking every transaction your ex made. They started documenting every fake business your ex created. They were creating spiritual records that would manifest as physical evidence when the time was right. That's why the investigation moved so fast once it started. That's why evidence appeared in places investigators didn't expect. That's why witnesses came forward with information. That's why your ex's accomplice turned on them. All of it was orchestrated. All of it was perfectly timed. All of it was designed to bring justice while keeping you safe from the fallout. You had health problems while you were with them, didn't you? Mysterious symptoms that doctors couldn't explain. Exhaustion that sleep didn't cure. Pain that medicine didn't touch. That was your body rejecting their toxic energy. That was your spiritual immune system fighting an infection. And when you left them, those symptoms started improving. That exhaustion began to lift. That pain started to ease. That's not coincidence. That's confirmation. That's your body validating what your spirit already knew. Your spiritual team wasn't just protecting you from their schemes. They were protecting you from legal implication, from becoming an accessory to their crimes, from having your name appear on documents that would haunt you for the rest of your life, from being questioned as a potential accomplice. Your guides made absolutely sure you were completely clear of their criminal enterprise before it all imploded. Think about how easily you could have been dragged into their legal troubles if you had stayed even a little longer, if you had been present when certain documents were signed, if you had unknowingly participated in transactions that seemed legitimate at the time, if you had been around when investigators started asking questions. You could have been named in their charges. You could have been questioned by police. You could have needed to hire lawyers. You could have faced criminal charges simply by association. But you weren't there. You were gone, completely separated, documentably disconnected. Your alibi is your absence. Your defense is your distance. Your protection is the timing of your departure. And that timing wasn't accidental. That wasn't just lucky. That was orchestrated by forces that can see timelines you can't access, forces that understand legal systems you don't navigate, forces that protect you from dangers you don't even know exist. Now we arrive at the moment of truth, the culmination of everything I've been building toward, the point where this story becomes about your power instead of their crimes, because they're about to reach out to you. If they haven't already made contact, they will, and what you do in that moment will determine everything that comes next in your life. They think you're going to rescue them. They actually believe you'll pay their bail. They genuinely expect you'll help them hire a lawyer. Right now they're sitting in a cell or meeting with their public defender, and your name keeps coming up as their solution, as their way out, as their rescue plan. Let that sink in for a moment. The person who stole your identity, who tried to destroy your financial life, who violated your trust in the most fundamental way possible, that person thinks you'll come through for them one more time. Why would they think that? Because you always came through before. Because they successfully trained you to feel guilty. Because they effectively conditioned you to feel responsible for their well-being. Because they skillfully programmed you to believe that love means sacrifice, that care means rescuing, that loyalty means tolerating abuse. They spent months or years building that conditioning in you, creating those neural pathways in your brain, installing buttons they could push whenever they needed something from you. Let me show you exactly how this is going to unfold when they reach out. Let me prepare you for their manipulation so thoroughly that you'll see it coming from miles away. Let me arm you with knowledge so complete that their tactics will bounce off you like rain off stone. First, they'll start with tears. Their voice will be breaking. Their energy will feel desperate. They'll sound defeated, broken, like they're at their absolute lowest point. This is strategic. This is calculated. This is specifically designed to trigger your compassion, your nurturing instinct, your natural desire to help people who are hurting. They know you're a good person. They're banking on it. They're weaponizing your own kindness against you. Then they'll move into nostalgia. They'll say things like, "Remember when things were good between us? Remember how we used to be. Remember that time we laughed until we cried. Remember that trip we took together. Remember those promises we made to each other. They'll paint pictures of a relationship that never actually existed. They'll rewrite your shared history with rose-colored ink. They'll try to make you forget why you left by reminding you of moments they carefully curated to look like love. They won't bring up the times you cried yourself to sleep, the moments when you questioned your own sanity, the days when you felt exhausted for no reason you could name, the nights when you couldn't eat because anxiety had your stomach in knots. They'll conveniently forget every red flag they showed you, every warning sign they displayed, every moment when your intuition screamed at you to run. After nostalgia fails to hook you, they'll shift to guilt. They'll say things like, "I wouldn't be in this situation if you hadn't left me. I made these choices because I was heartbroken. I was desperate without you. I wasn't thinking clearly because losing you destroyed me." They'll try to make their criminal behavior your responsibility. They'll paint their choices as reactions to your actions. They'll attempt to convince you that their arrest is somehow your fault. This is gaslighting on a master level. This is manipulation so smooth it slides right past logical thinking and aims straight for your emotional centers. This is psychological warfare dressed up as vulnerability. And if you're not prepared for it, if you haven't done the work to recognize this pattern, you might actually start to feel responsible. You might actually consider helping them. You might actually think you owe them something, but you don't owe them anything. You owe them absolutely nothing. Their choices are not your responsibility. Their consequences are not your burden to carry. Their emergency is not your problem to solve. When guilt doesn't work on you, they'll try bargaining. They'll say things like, "If you help me this one time, I'll never ask you for anything again. If you pay my bail, I'll pay you back with interest. If you give me this chance, I'll prove to you that I've changed. If you show up for me now, I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you." They'll make promises they have absolutely no intention of keeping. They'll offer deals they can't possibly honor. They'll say whatever they think you need to hear to get what they want from you. So when that call comes, when that message appears on your phone, when that mutual friend reaches out saying your ex is desperate and asking if you can help just this one time, here's exactly what you're going to do. Here's how you're going to handle it. Here's how you're going to maintain your power, while they're trying their hardest to manipulate your compassion. First, you're going to pause. You're going to breathe deeply. You're going to remember everything they did to you. Not just the big things, the small violations too, the little disrespects, the casual dismissals, the subtle manipulations. You're going to remember how they made you feel, how you couldn't sleep at night, how you questioned your own sanity, how you felt exhausted for no reason you could identify, how you lost yourself trying to keep them happy. Then you're going to remember how you felt when you finally got free from them, that first deep breath you took, that first night of real sleep you got, that first morning you woke up without anxiety gripping your chest, that moment when you realized you could make choices without someone undermining you, that day when you understood you were actually allowed to take up space, that second when you recognized your own worth again. You're going to compare those two realities, the one where you were with them, the one where you're free from them. You're going to look at those two versions of your life, and you're going to ask yourself, which one do I want to protect? Which one serves my highest good? Which one honors who I'm becoming? The answer will be obvious. The choice will be clear. The decision will be simple. You're not going to answer their call. You're not going to respond to their message. You're not going to engage with their drama. You're going to let the call go to voicemail. You're going to delete the message without even reading it. You're going to tell mutual friends you're not available for conversations about this situation. You're going to maintain your boundary, not because you're mean, but because you're wise. Not because you're cruel, but because you're committed to your own well-being. Here's what you're going to say to those people. Here's your script. Here's your boundary stated clearly and firmly. I appreciate your concern, but this is not something I'm willing to discuss with you. My decision is final. I'm not available to help, and I'm asking you to respect my boundary. If you continue bringing this up to me, I'll need to take space from our friendship as well. Notice what you're not doing in that response. You're not explaining yourself. You're not justifying your choice. You're not defending your decision. You're not providing details about what they did to you or why you left them. You're not trying to convince anyone that your boundary is valid, because your boundary doesn't need anyone else's approval. It doesn't require consensus from your social circle. It doesn't demand understanding from people who weren't there to witness what you went through. Some of those mutual friends will respect your boundary immediately. They'll apologize for overstepping. They'll back off completely. Those are your real friends. Those are people who genuinely understand that boundaries are not negotiable. Those are the friendships that are actually worth keeping in your life. But others will push back against you. They'll tell you you're being too harsh, too cold, too unforgiving. They'll say everyone deserves a second chance. They'll claim you're letting someone suffer when you have the power to help them. They'll try to guilt you into changing your mind. And those people? They're showing you exactly who they are. They're revealing that they value your ex's comfort more than they value your well-being. They're demonstrating that they don't actually respect your boundaries. And they're telling you exactly how much space you need to create between yourself and them as well. The universe handed you a gift wrapped in their arrest. Inside that gift is your freedom, your peace, your clarity, your power. Inside that gift is validation that divine protection is absolutely real, that ancestral guidance actually works, that spiritual intervention genuinely happens. Inside that gift is proof that walking away from them was the bravest thing you could have possibly done. When they make contact with you, you already know exactly what you're going to do. You're going to maintain your boundary firmly. You're going to protect your peace fiercely. You're going to honor yourself completely. You're going to choose freedom over familiarity, power over people-pleasing, growth over guilt. You're going to let their consequences teach them what your words never could. Let them learn what accountability demands. Let them experience what karma delivers when you violate a chosen one. And you're going to continue building your beautiful life. The one without their toxicity poisoning your days, without their schemes threatening your security, without their manipulation draining your energy, without their chaos disrupting your peace. The life where you sleep peacefully through the night, where you breathe deeply without restriction, where you laugh genuinely from your soul, where you love authentically without fear, where you live freely without looking over your shoulder. This is not the end of your story. This is the triumphant conclusion of a painful chapter you survived. This is the final scene of a thriller, where you're the one who made it out alive. This is the closing credits of a horror movie, where you're the hero who escaped. But this is also the opening of something entirely new, something infinitely better, something that's completely and entirely yours to write however you want. You are a chosen one. You've proven it by surviving what they did to you, by escaping their elaborate schemes, by healing from the damage they inflicted, by refusing to go back to them, by maintaining your boundaries against pressure, by protecting your peace against manipulation, by choosing yourself when they demanded sacrifice, by honoring your worth when they tried to diminish it, by trusting your journey when others questioned your path, by believing in your power when they tried to take it from you. And you definitely, absolutely, without question, will not pay bail for someone who committed crimes against you. You will not rescue them from the consequences they created for themselves. You will not break the boundaries you worked so hard to build. You will not sacrifice the peace you fought so hard to create. You will not give away the power you worked so hard to reclaim. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever again. Stay free, stay powerful, stay protected, stay chosen. The universe has your back. Your ancestors are proud of you. Your guides are celebrating your victory. Your future self is grateful for the choices you're making right now. You did it. You're free, you're powerful, you're victorious, and you're never ever going back to that darkness again.